Welcome to Make Something with me, David Picciuto, and today I'm going to show you how to make a set of bifold doors. It was easier than I thought it was going to be. Check it. I've already gone ahead and purchased the hardware for the bifold doors. The instructions tell me that the door height needs to be 1 5/8 inch less than the opening, and the width needs to be divided by 4 minus 1/4 inch. So now that we know what our door size is, we're gonna head on over to Kencraft and go pick up some maple. We are back from Kencraft. We got a bunch of beautiful maple. We're gonna take everything over to the table saw and rip it to 2 inches wide. Now that we have all of our pieces ripped over at the table saw, I'm going to cross cut everything over at the miter saw. I need 8 of the long pieces and a whole bunch of the little short pieces. The long upright sides are called stiles, and the pieces that go this way are the rails. That's a fact. We have everything ripped and cross-cut to length. I'm going to use cope and stick joinery for these frame and panel doors. Last week we put out a great video on 3 different ways to make frame and panel doors using cope and stick and tongue and groove joinery, both at the router and the table saw. So go check out that video for detailed instructions on how to do this. In that video, I got a lot of burning, and that is just the nature of working with hard maple. To reduce that, I'm going to do it in a couple of passes. I still think I'm going to get burning on the end grain, but when we do the long grain, I'm just gonna do it in one single pass and we should be fine there. Maple burns. It's what happened. When you do cope and stick, you do all of the rails first. The rails are the pieces that are horizontal, and we have to do all the end grain. I made this quick jig by just screwing on these toggle clamps. I have this backing board, which will reduce tear out, and then this board here is just screwed on there. That's just to help me line it up. So I can clamp my board to that and then just toggle that down and run this through the bit, keeping my hands far away. I have my fence set slightly forward. I'm going to run all the end grain pieces through, and then I will line the bearing up with the fence for that second and final pass. We go into all the detail that you need on doing this in the previous video. Still got a little bit of burning, but that's okay. It's gonna be hidden. Doesn't matter. All right, we got everything all routed up. This is a dry assembly of one of the 4 doors. Everything looks great. We didn't get any burning on the long grain, which is really good. Only on the end grain, doesn't matter, it gets covered up. So now I need to make the panels that are gonna go inside here. I'm actually going to use white acrylic in there. And we're just gonna cut these up over at the table. Time to glue this guy together. I got a really tight fit, so I don't need a lot of glue. It'll hold real good. Just gonna do one little section at a time. Try to make sure that's nice and flush there on the end. Throw in our acrylic. Chuck cut that out. Wondering if clamps are even necessary. It's so tight, I'm not even gonna put clamps on there. I think it's just overkill, even though woodworkers love overkill. I'm just gonna throw clamps on there just for a little bit, not the whole time. Picciutos love overkill. That's just gonna make me feel a little better. Maybe just on the ends. Maybe one more in the middle. Not necessary. Totally overkill. I might as well put a clamp here and a clamp here. Again, not necessary. This is so much overkill. One more, just to make you guys feel better out there. Y'all love clamps. This is way too many clamps. This is overkill. Dan, if you were doing this, I would advise you to not use this many clamps. So that's good. So now I'm just gonna put a few more clamps in between, a couple along the edges here, and then just some spring clamps along the side, just so it looks cool while it's drying. And I'm gonna let this dry for 3 or 4 days. That should be good enough. Cool. For the finish, I want to keep it nice and simple, so I'm using this oil and wax. You know what else should be nice and simple? Making a website. When I first got started in woodworking, I had a website to document my progress and evolution, and now I use my website to share my knowledge and sell both digital and physical products. So whether you need a website for personal use or for your business, Squarespace is the solution. Their templates are absolutely gorgeous, modern, and perfect for showing off your projects. And your website will reformat itself to look great on any device. So if you're out and about and you want to show off your work to a potential customer, your images will automatically take advantage of your screen size. That is called responsive design, and it used to be a difficult thing to set up, but now you don't even have to think about it thanks to Squarespace. You can easily import content from your favorite social media sites as well as auto post to places like Facebook and Twitter. This makes your website and your social media sites work together to show off your woodworking. All of my sites have been Squarespace sites for years because I really do love the service. Check out squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/makesomething for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you, Squarespace. Now let's add some hardware and hang up these doors. I've got all 4 doors sanded and finished. I'm just following the directions here that came with the hardware. The next step is to put on the hinges. The hinges are made for doors that are 1 inch up to 1/4 of an inch thick. My doors are 3/4 of an inch thick, which means the hinges are just a little bit too long. I've got a little bit of room to play with, so I'm gonna grind that down over on the grinder. This bit is a self-centering drill bit, which will drill the hole right in the center. The directions do call for a 5/16 gap between there, but the hinge automatically sets that gap for you. All of the hinges are on the doors. We got 2 sets. So now we need to add these little springy doodads. And so I need to drill a hole. And cool beans. The directions were pretty clear. The hardware was really easy to install. I'll have links to all the tools and the hardware down in the video description. Once you pound in and screw in the hardware, the doors just pop into place. If your door frame and your floor is not squared, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. There's a lot of room for adjustment. It does take some patience when making those adjustments to make sure your gaps and your spacing is even all the way around. I've got a dedicated video on making frame and panel doors over at the router table and the table saw, so there's options for everybody. I've also got a video on the making of the closet organizer. We did that a few weeks ago. Links to everything down below. That is it, folks. We'll see you next week with a brand new project. As always, be safe, have fun, stay passionate, and make something.